let's keep it moving here. Let's talk about something Meltzer would write about halftime heat. Steve Austin's first live interview aired as the highlight of Halftime Heat, which aired edited video clips of the Hardys Dudley match and the swimsuit competition from the Royal Rumble, with the key parts being edited off the show, of course. Austin was in a neck brace, obviously in great pain, and it was weird because they showed a clip of him getting run over as the reason for his injury, but almost in WCW-like fashion, they did the interview and neither he nor Jim Ross brought up the angle they were selling. Now, before we move on, do you remember that interview? And do you remember sitting down thinking, well, we got to get over that he was hit by a car? Or did you want to do more quote unquote shoot style and maybe the office didn't get the memo?
I want to tell the truth.
Right.
Steve wanted to tell the truth, Conrad. Simple as that. The car angle, because I don't think Steve was overwhelmingly excited about working with Rikishi. It's challenging to work with a guy that big, even though Rikishi had great skills and instincts and so forth. And he's got very talented sons wrestling now as well. But be that as it may, Steve wanted to go more of an honest, stone cold route. Here's what it is, and this is what I'm dealing with, and it makes it more believable. But the creative forces wanted to stick with the sports entertainment theme and sell the angle, and thinking that Steve at somewhere would accept that angle as a good part of his journey. He never did. So, but we just followed orders. You're told to do this, and we did that, and we did it. And of course, it's also edited. So, if we had talked about it in other terms, it would not have made air. So it was just the way it was, man. That's what they wanted. The producer, the owner, the creator wanted this, and that's what we provided.
Let me ask you, you mentioned Rikishi there. Do you think by this point you guys had already imagined that this is going to be the payoff? I mean, we know ultimately it wound up being Rikishi, but do you think you knew that at this point, or was it still a question mark?
Well, we knew where we were going.
Okay.
So yeah, no, what a question mark. I mean, Rikishi was the guy that was earmarked to be good. You get a push, the almighty God forbid push. So, that was that. And so Austin and I obviously knew what the plan was, but he wasn't crazy about the plan.
Right.
So that's simple as that, man. It's just, he wanted to be real, and reality-based pro wrestling always has worked better than total fantasy and bullshit.
No doubt about that. Let's keep going here. Meltzer would also write, Ross brought up Deborah, which is a subject that has never been broached on WWF television before. And Austin said they were engaged and would be married in the near future. And they continued on that the next night on Raw. Ross was clearly trying to make it seem legit and not like an angle. And Austin was somewhat in character and somewhat not. And even brought up Austin being an icon of the sport like Bruno Sammartino in the 60s and 70s and Hulk Hogan in the 80s in the WWF, mentioning two names that are never mentioned and certainly not reverent in reverent terms like that on WWF television. Austin estimated 3 to 4 months before he could be back in the ring, but also said if he couldn't go full speed, he just wouldn't come back. And Austin was clearly in a lot of pain, and a lot of people were stunned by seeing him in that condition and his slurring words and the like. And it was one of those deals where in hindsight, it may have been better had he not done the interview. Do you remember being concerned that, man, we're showing him in a less than ideal state? Maybe we shouldn't do this. Did you say
you don't show John Wayne weak?
There you go.
You don't show John Wayne selling. You don't to any degree off a non-bleeding wound. It probably in hindsight would have been better if Austin did not do the interview with JR. And secondly, it was just a way to pop a rating. Steve was money. Steve was a rating. Whatever he did, wherever he did it, people were going to tune in. And that's what was being sought after on that halftime heat interview. It was a unique time. It was a unique placement, and they needed Austin to drive the people to that program so that it's like a lost leader item at Walmart. You go in and buy something for 99 cents. It may cost them $1.50, but they don't care because they got you in the store for the 99-cent item. And we got to watch TV because of the presence of the greatest star that we had to that point in Stone Cold.
No doubt about it. It's, it's something that we've heard as wrestling fans for a long time. Guys would say, old timers would say, keep your wife away from the business. Did you have a conversation with Steve about, I don't know, man, is it a good idea we acknowledge Deborah? Or was it more one of those spots where if he didn't acknowledge Deborah, then there really maybe wasn't a role for her on TV at that point. So let's mention her so she can keep a job and keep traveling with me.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I don't remember discussing with Steve the whole Deborah topic. I think it was there were things that we were given subject matters, bullet points, so to speak, to discuss. But I was not going to go into business for myself and talk about a man's fiance.
Sure.
And in real life and getting ready to get married in real life without clearing it with him. It wasn't my idea to talk about Deborah. I didn't see a lot of reason to bring her into the equation other than it made Steve more human, I guess, because, he's a man and he and this woman are attracted to each other, and she's a beautiful, very nice, very smart. She's got a master's degree from the University of Alabama now in criminology and doing great. So, she's just, she was a wonder. Everybody liked Deborah, and there's no reason not to. But topic would not have been brought up unless it was handed to us to bring it up. And I think the only benefit it had was to kind of make Steve more of a real person. So it was touchy, no doubt. But Steve was not surprised by anything that we talked about. Your original question was, should we have done the interview in the first place? Probably not. But again, it was a way to get people to tune in.
Do you think Steve was concerned at this point that he might not be able to return?
Maybe a little bit, but I think Dr. Lloyd Youngblood there in San Antonio, had done such an amazing job of not only the surgery on Steve's neck, but also, his bedside manner, Dr. Youngblood's bedside manner, it comforted Steve. He felt good about what he was hearing because Dr. Youngblood is a big, strong guy, a nice man. Because I spent a lot of time down there on the surgery process, and his talk and his motivation resonated with Steve. So I don't think there was but you don't know until you get back in the ring. So that's my point. In a long story short, if he had gotten back in the ring, had tingling, numbness, pain, whatever, it was over. But Dr. Youngblood felt very confident that he had fixed the issue and that Steve would not have those problems. But without a doubt, because this is DNA and the narrow spinal cord, we realized that he's not going to have this 20-year career going forward. He'd already had a long career, but he just wasn't going to be able to do the long-term stuff, and we had to use him more judiciously. We got to address his booking a different way. But as long as we could not tarnish the image of Stone Cold, then we were going to be fine. But I don't think so. I don't think Steve was ever. You got to have doubt, Conrad. You got to have the doubt until you're in the ring and bump around and see how you're going to feel the next day and the next day. But luckily for us, he healed. He's a tough son of a bitch, and he had that. He still had that amazing motor, man. The will to work hard and to be the best. He wasn't done. And so who the hell are we going to tell him that he's not done? If the doctor's liking it, Steve's liking it, man, world's getting better all the time.
No doubt. Let's talk just briefly about the PTC campaign against SmackDown. It pops up here again, in February, where once again, they're counting anything and everything that you guys are doing. There's complaints about you guys using the word ass in interviews, complaints against violence like acolyte bar fights and breaking tables, and of course chair shots and all the Miss Royal Rumble stuff. What was your take on the PTC campaign against the WWE at the time?
I felt like we gave them too much credit. I felt like we made too big a deal out of it. I felt like that by mentioning them and reacting to them, that we gave them some stability, some recognition that they didn't deserve or need. What are they now? Where are they today?
Right.
Nowhere. We overreacted and did more publicity for them than we should have. So I thought the company just went way too far with that stuff, and I don't know how it really affected us a little bit, just being aware. But by and large, it was just a politically motivated bullshit thing, in my view, and people may not agree with that. But look, there's a goddamn channel changer, man. Every remote has one. If you're uncomfortable with something, turn it off. Oh, I can't do that. Change channel. I might do that. But don't just mire in it. It was crazy. It was just a simple solution. If you're uncomfortable with what we're doing, don't watch. And but we, of course, couldn't afford to say that. Everybody's afraid of everything. So I thought it was a way overstated matter, in my view. And I might be wrong about that, but I thought it was a lot of waste of time talking about bullshit.
Is it something that was on Vince's radar and you guys were spending a lot of time talking about it? Or are you saying just in the newsletters and things like that?
A lot of people, we were saying too much about it. Some of Vince's the upper management people who didn't know anything about wrestling could at least address and converse over things like the PTC and other entities, because that was out of the realm, out of the ring. In essence, it wasn't about ring performance. It was about, are we too coarse? Are we too insensitive? And that's what some of the upper management people would discuss with Vince, and got him all fired up. And it's like, again, it's just, and of course the newsletters are going to have it in there because it's a news item to them. And even the newsletters, Meltzer, Keller, all those guys probably help add credibility to a company or a organization that may not have needed all that, deserved all that publicity. That's just my take on it. So I was never worried about it, because I always felt like it was like crying wolf or knee jerking, that people are leery of paying attention to these political action groups, because they're sometimes they're not perceived very positively, as I'm speaking right now. So that's kind of where we were with that, Conrad. I didn't like it was just a much to do about not enough.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.